I built a simple website that makes $40K a month.
I built a simple countdown timer into a $25K per month app.
$20,000 per month.
Making $10K per month with your clothing brand is actually much easier than you'd think.
Online success stories on YouTube are no longer inspirational videos, they're over-the-top illusionary reminders that you're not doing enough. Because if some guy can build an app in their sleep, then what's your excuse, right? Look, I'm not here to dissect the authenticity of these videos. I'm here to show you how the extreme outliers are labeled as norms, how the lightnings in a bottle are considered as everyday normal, and how glorifying one successful business among the thousands of failing ones is actually setting you up for failure as well.
Easy money.
Because actually every success story video online has the same ingredients. A young guy in a hoodie, a monetized screen recording of a striped dashboard, a flashy thumbnail with a dollar sign, and a ridiculously high number. Every single day there's a new "I built X and Y and made $2 million" story that pops up. And usually it's a guy with zero experience who used ChatGPT to slap an app together that later went viral, and now they're booked on the next podcast talking about their journey, which is nothing more than a statistical anomaly. Calling that normal is like watching someone win at a casino and assuming that's how you get rich.
40,500,000 all in.
What nobody else talks about is the 999 other apps that launched in the same week that never got a single user, that are probably abandoned, and that ultimately failed. When you're constantly seeing these stories framed as everyday normal, you start to think you can launch something tomorrow and then you'll be on the cover of Forbes next month. And when that obviously doesn't happen, you spiral and you quit, because no one actually told you that this is a long game. Let me give you an example of a real success story in the real world. After 6 years in a stable, well-paying position, I quit my project manager job at Lenovo in 2019 to pursue wedding photography and videography full-time with my wife. During our first year, we booked only 5 weddings, and 3 of them we did for free because we needed to get our foot through the door, and doing free work was the quickest way. In 2022, COVID hit, we had no bookings, and we burned through our savings to survive. In 2021, we booked 10 weddings, ended the year in a loss. In 2022, we booked 18 weddings, made $21,000. At the end of that year, we gambled and moved to Dubai to book higher-end weddings there. We had 5 clients in our first year, invested all our money into this gamble, and were basically back to square one. In 2023, we booked 10 weddings in Dubai, had to fly back to Europe as we ran out of money and couldn't sustain a living here over the long term. In 2024, we tried again. This time we booked 28 weddings, which could sustain a permanent move to Dubai. This year, we finally hit 6 figures. It's been 6 years of building up our brands, investing into new business ventures, investing into new equipment, riding the wave of ups and downs. But obviously that's not a viral story. It's not something that I can market, because people are attracted to the quick buck, the fast checkout. But the blatant truth is that is what building a business looks like. 6 years, maybe 10, out of which perhaps only 2 are profitable. It's not the flashy success story that gets millions of views, but at least it's real. Another layer of distortion is the "I made it on my own" punchline. You know the tags. I built a 7-figure business from scratch. But when you actually dig a little deeper, from scratch means they got a $100,000 investment from their parents, they never had to pay rent because they lived with their parents, and they had a massive following on TikTok after 5 years of grinding. Now that doesn't mean that they didn't work hard, but let's not pretend that from scratch means the same for everybody. Take Emily Wise, the founder of Glossier, one of the first direct-to-customer beauty companies launched in 2014. Amazing brand, smart founder, and great execution. But Glossier wasn't a rags to riches story. Their founder was already working at Vogue before launching her blog. She had industry access, credibility, and eventually raised $2 million in funding at the start. Another example is Amazon. Everybody loves to brag about Jeff Bezos being the archetype of vision and hustle. But what nobody talks about, his parents made a $300,000 investment when Amazon was just an idea. Not a bad head start. Or even influencers today boasting about how they built a product in 2 days and made $50K. Until you realize they had 400,000 followers on Instagram. Now that's not a from scratch story, that's monetizing a built-in audience. And to be clear, there's nothing wrong with that, but as someone like you who's looking to build something from scratch, you don't have a rich uncle, you don't have an investment, you don't have any clout, you deserve to know the full picture. Because at some point you're gonna start questioning yourself, why can't I do that? What's wrong with me? When in reality, nothing is actually wrong with you, it's just that the game isn't being played on a level field. This is all also linked to the hustle culture epidemic.
Slaves worked
all the hours they were awake for their entire lives. I think like if they can do it, so can I.
If you're a man and you're single, right, no kids, you're not working at least 80 hours a week, the fact is that you're lazy.
99% of people have no excuse for not being able to make 10 grand a month.
You watch these videos, maybe you start a YouTube channel, start a Notion template shop, or even a print-on-demand Shopify store, all in the same week. You build and grind and expect the dopamine hit of a viral win. But of course it doesn't come, and suddenly you think, maybe I'm not cut out for this. But you never actually give yourself a fair shot. You jump from one venture to another after 2 months, chasing the next viral hit. And when that fails, you chase it again elsewhere. You scour YouTube for that next speeding bullet idea, watching the 50th $1 million per year golden ticket video that so many creators advertise. Because you've been told that that's the norm, that a true entrepreneur hustles day and night until he builds their empire. But let's talk about something that doesn't get mentioned out loud about these experts. Rich people, the actual real ones, don't walk around talking about how they make their money. The people who are actually wealthy, the ones building generational wealth, they scale real businesses, invest quietly, they sit in boardrooms, compound their returns, and spend time with tax advisors. They're not filming day-in-the-life vlogs with Lambos in the background. But online, we're flooded with self-declared millionaires who post screenshots of their Stripe dashboards. And spoiler alert, they're not sharing their numbers for transparency, they're doing it for leverage. Because nothing sells a product like aspirational wealth. It's like saying, I'm smarter than you, I cracked the code. Buy my system and you can be just like me. It's marketing, and often it's exaggerated, if not outright fake. We've all seen people rent a car or an Airbnb to shoot this type of content, or they flash a 6-figure revenue number without mentioning the profit. Now let's contrast that with people who actually build something real. You think the founders of Airbnb are walking around telling everyone how much money they make per month? You think your dentist who owns a successful practice and a Range Rover, he goes around vlogging on TikTok about how he makes his money? Of course not. Real wealth doesn't need to shout. When you constantly see loud success stories online, it's easy to feel like you're not doing enough. That if you're not talking numbers, you must not be doing well. But the truth is, quiet success is often the most legitimate kind. And the loudest people, they're often trying to convince you about it because they haven't actually convinced themselves. But here's what actually works. Pick a lane that fits your skills and interests. Stick with it for more than 6 months. Try and learn from someone who actually does the thing that you're trying to do, not just online advice. Ignore the flashy thumbnails and learn how to celebrate small success stories, not just YouTube optimized ones. So yeah, by all means, watch the next I made $1 million per day video. It's fun. But don't build your expectations around that. Build around reality. Remember that slow growth isn't a failure. It's normal. And normal in this everyday algorithm optimized world is actually a breath of fresh air.